my new shoe. I'm the black bitchy bitch with the roof missing. If it don't make dollars, don't make sense. Z, wake up like I gotta get it. And I got an engine for a trunk space. I get money 3 ways. 3 ways, 7 different formats. Plus she's no oblate, but I make that walk with some cheesecake. Yeah. I'm the coldest nigga I see. Looking in the mirror like I wish I can be me. She too into me, I'm more into money. My hobbies are body, that's my lobby. I'ma eat it, I'ma eat it. I don't lie, I'm a dude too conceited. I told her she my wife for the weekend. But don't be acting like I need you cause we poppin' like yeah.
All my bitches got real hair, chillin' with the top down, screaming like hey. I'ma take her out down, she bring her friend around, I'm like hey. I'm a bougie area, go fat home, we poppin' like we poppin' like but don't be acting like a DJ.
With Lamborghini doors on that Escalade, low pro solo, look like I'm riding on blades. In 1 year, man, you know I'm so great. I have a straight chick in the telly going both ways. Touch me, tease me, kiss me, please me. I give it to you just how you like it, girl. You're now rocking with the best. That thing on my hip, Teflon on my chest. They say I'm no good cause I'm so hood. Rich folks do not want me around. Cause it might pop off, and when it pop off, somebody gon' get laid the fuck out. They call me new money, say I have no class. I'm from the bottom, I came up too fast. The hell if I care, I'm just here to get my cash. They bougie, I'm hood, they kiss my ass. This is how we do. We make a move and act the fool while we up in the club. This is how we do. Nobody do it like we do it, so show us some love. This is how we do. We make a move and act the fool while we up in the club. This is how we do. Nobody do it like we do it, so show us some love.
1, 2, meet me outside. Meet me outside. Meet me outside. Hold my yo, meet me outside. Meet me outside. Meet me outside. Hold my big baller. Yo, meet me outside. Meet me outside. Meet me outside. Hold my lady. Yo, meet me outside. Meet me outside. Meet me outside. Hold my big street. Woo! Y'all gon' make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me go all out. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me act a fool. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me lose my cool. Up in here, up in here. If I got to bring it to you cowards, then it's gonna be quick. All your men have been to jail before, suck my dick. And all the motherfuckers you run with, get done with, dumb quick. You gon' broke the dog with some bum. They go to click, click, 911. All over some dumb. Ain't that something? Remind me of a strip club. Every time you come around, it's like, what? I just gotta get my dicks up. And I don't know who the f you think you talking to, but I'm not him, right? Slim, so watch what you do, or you gon' find yourself very next to someone else. And we all thought you loved yourself, but that couldn't have been the issue. Or maybe they just saying that now cause they miss you. Maybe they try to diss you. That's why you laying on your back, looking at the roof of the church. Preacher telling the truth and it hurts.
Shake it to the east, shake it to the west. If you shake it on me, you get diamond and baguettes. Shake it to the east, shake it to the west. If you shake it on me, you get diamond and baguettes. Shake it to the east, shake it to the west. If you shake it on me, you get diamond and baguettes.
Toot that suck.
Toot that suck.
I say you know that I'm a freak. I post bikini pics and I be f***ing up the net.
Toot that suck.
Toot that suck.
Hey, I should have slinged the Ramada. All about $1, Spanish and French. Muy Balenciaga. Diamonds on my collar, but I could've bought a chopper. I'm a sniper, I'm a threat to everybody, baby mama. Ballin'. My closet got a hallway, ballin'. I could throw my birthday at the Barclay, all in. Let it out, diamond and baguettes. Told Ben I've been a ballin', baby, I should be a net. Look, oldie, poppin', rolling, shopping. My new looking like a trophy, walking. Never dry cause the money make a I've been hot since 97, I came here to flex. Shake it to the east, shake it to the west. If you shake it on me, you get diamond and baguettes.
Toot that suck.
Toot that suck.
I say you know that I'm a freak. I post bikini pics and I be f***ing up the net.
Toot that suck.
Toot that suck. I said I'ma toot that. If you a ball player, I'm tryna recruit that. Said I taste like ice cream, he wanna scoop that. Turn around, do the brown, Uncle Luke that. Say, they shootin', I made you look. Turn around, I'ma show him how a dime look. I never met a they could check me. I never let a bro take me. I like my black like a Pepsi. I'm starting on this jet, call me Jet Li. Never never got the credit I deserve. If it wasn't for me, you just right on me hurt.
I said I shake it to the east, shake it to the west. If you shake it on me, you get diamond in baguettes.
Toot that up.
Toot that up.
I say you know that I'm a freak. I post the kitty things and I be f***ing up the net.
Toot that up.
I can't escape you, I'm an addict, girl. In your own bag, that's so attractive, girl. You don't let nobody have it. Tell your girlfriends that you ain't active, girl. Cause tonight we getting nasty. Before we get back to my place, touch in the backseat. I tell my driver what's the road just so he can't see. Girl, tell me what you really want, God, I really want it. You know I want you. You know that we don't have to rush, we can stick to touching. You don't have to rush it, girl. So tell me what you really want, God, I really want it. You know that we don't have to rush, we can stick to touching. We don't have to rush it, girl. Yeah, we don't have to rush it, girl. I'll be honest, I watching the low key. Took you shopping, so you're rocking the scene and it's on me. I respect the fact you offer, but baby, it's on me. You been on my mind, but baby, it's on me. Tell me, baby, what you wanna do. You've been on my mind, I really want all of you. All of you, all of you.
Mi deporte favorito es hacer dinero. Yo trabajo en un colombiano. Mi deporte favorito. Yo soy un muchacho que viene de abajo, no le temo al trabajo. Es que me gusta la chamba, de niño le meto a la chamba. Yo soy un muchacho que viene de abajo, no le temo al trabajo. Es que me gusta la chamba, de niño me toco la chamba. Ey, desde que era menor, tengo cabrones tirándome porque soy mejor. A mí nunca me importó nada, le metí a vapor. Soy un muchacho que viene de abajo, no le temo al trabajo. Es que me gusta la chamba, de niño me toco la chamba. Soy un muchacho que viene de abajo, no le temo al trabajo. Es que me gusta la chamba, de niño me toco la chamba. Que me tiren me parece normal, voy más rápido que ellos si no tengo factos. Desde niño supe que era cambiar, y no si para esto yo no voy a cambiar. Todo se lo conseguí, sin ser el caponelo pa' que te lo metí. Me la vivo en Grande League, más de 30 arenas en millones convertí. Yo soy un muchacho que viene de abajo, no le temo al trabajo. Es que me gusta la chamba, de niño le meto a la chamba. Yo soy un muchacho que viene de abajo, no le temo al trabajo. Es que me gusta la chamba, de niño me toco la chamba. Ey, Austin, baby. Tiny. El doble P con el arca, güey. Directamente desde... Ahí. Dile a ella que me lo ponga para atrás. Aquí la vamos a montar. Vamos a montarla. Vamos a montarla. Vamos a montarla. Pónteme de espalda. Ahí. Así. Aquí la vamos a montar. Ahí. Así. Aquí la vamos a montar.
This is the moment the world has been waiting for. The judges are ready. The fighters are ready. The boxing world is ready. The fight starts now. Let's go.
How do you like it? On the show. So aggressive, so focused. It all comes down to this. Press conference live on DAZN.
Hello and welcome to New York City for our second press conference of the week as Canelo Alvarez's first fight of a new 4-fight deal with Riyadh season in association with SNK's Fatal Fury City of Wolves is set as the unified super middleweight champion looks to become undisputed for a second time when he faces IBF title holder William Scull on May 3rd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And we are inside the iconic Radio City Music Hall, home to some of the best performances here in Manhattan. So why don't we go right up to the stage now and see what the mariachi band has to say. I'm Chris Mannix here with the Latin Snake, former junior middleweight champion Sergio Mora. And Sergio, Canelo Alvarez is back, and it's always a big event whenever Canelo Alvarez is back. That's why we're right here in New York and right here at Radio City Music Hall. Canelo, one of the most accomplished fighters of this generation, 4-division world champion, former undisputed super middleweight champion who is trying to become undisputed for a second time.
Yes, he is, and he's still Canelo Alvarez. He's still one of the biggest stars in boxing. That's the reason everybody's here. He still demands the 2 dates in May and in September. Canelo Alvarez is still one of the best boxers in the world, one of the top pound-for-pound talent, and it's because of that. The man still could fight, still has fast hands, the upper body movement. He has a chin of stone, and this is the guy that people still want to see. Canelo Alvarez, still the man.
Now, there's no question that Canelo is still arguably the biggest box office star in all of boxing. Sells out arenas all over North America. But is he still an elite talent? A lot of people saw the fights this past year. He beats Jaime Munguia. He beats Edgar Berlanga. He doesn't knock either one of them out. So where would you say that Canelo Alvarez is at this point of his career?
But look, of course he's lost a step, but he hasn't lost a punch. I mean, the man can still throw combinations like anyone else. Yes, he came up short against Bivol. No shame there. He came up short against a great Mayweather. No shame there. But the man he's still dangerous, man. Just because he's not knocking him out, this is a fighter that came up from 140 to 175. So he doesn't carry that power, but he's still putting guys down. Berlanga, Munguia, he's still able to drop them. He just can't keep them down at this stage of his career.
Yeah, I think Canelo, to your point, at this stage, is more in cruise control in the second half of fights. When he has these fights in control, he's not looking for those big knockouts, but he still is winning some pretty lopsided decisions. So, Canelo Alvarez is back. And I think a lot of people are wondering, who is Canelo Alvarez fighting? William Scull, the IBF light heavyweight title holder who won that vacant belt last year with a close decision win over Vladimir Shishkin. Sergio, what can you tell us about who William Scull is?
Listen, I had to dig deep into the research, but look, William Scull's an undefeated fighter. He comes from the Cuban school of boxing. You know, he's one of these tricky, crafty fighters. He's stronger than his knockout ratio indicates. He's a strong puncher. He has a long amateur pedigree, over 300 fights. So he's going to be tricky. He's going to be one of these guys to pin down. Canelo's going to have to pin him down because he hasn't really been knocking him out. So Scull can get out of hand if Canelo's not careful.
So what does he have to do to win a fight like this? Because we saw that fight against Vladimir Shishkin. It was incredibly close. There were not a lot of punches thrown in this fight by William Scull, and he's going to have to be active if he has any chance to beat Canelo.
He's going to have to be active, and he's going to have to mind his technique. This is the one thing about Scull I didn't like. He keeps his hands down. He fights with a real athletic style, but the later this fight goes, he was getting hurt by some punches that Shishkin was throwing. Matter of fact, he got dropped kind of in that fight as well. It wasn't really much of a knockdown, but still, if Canelo puts you down, he's going to keep you down.
Yeah, that's a big test for William Scull, that was never fought on this type of level. But that's what happens when you've got a version of the title. You get opportunities like this against Canelo Alvarez. This is also going to be Canelo Alvarez's first fight outside of North America. He is going to be fighting in Riyadh for the first time, first part of his deal with Turki Al-Sheikh. What do you think it's going to be like for him, fighting outside of this North American territory?
Listen, I'm just as curious. But one thing about this Riyadh season, they're going to roll out the red carpet. So no matter where Canelo fights, he's going to be treated like the Mexican star that he is. So look, they're opening the doors internationally. I love the fact that it's a worldwide international sport, and Canelo, a Mexican fighter that has dominated here in the States, is now growing abroad to Saudi Arabia.
I think it's going to be real interesting. Of course, he'll get there a couple of weeks early, but we've seen fighters have a little bit of an adjustment when they get to Riyadh, a little bit different. And Canelo, we know, is kind of a creature of habit. A lot of his recent fights have been in the city of Las Vegas. It was his first time be fighting out of the U.S., out of North America in his entire pro career. Certainly about that. Now, this card has another Mexican flavor to it, a little bit more Mexican flavor. Jaime Munguia is going to be the co-feature of this bout, taking on Bruno Soros. And Sergio, we saw Jaime Munguia just this past year take what looked like a nice, safe, easy test against Bruno Soros. It was in Munguia's hometown of Tijuana, Mexico. He goes down there, faces Bruno Soros, and gets knocked out. Now Munguia is in the rare position of trying to get his get back to put himself back in the world title picture.
Get back to where he once belonged. The evil, I call it the evil hometown curse, man. I hate it. And he was a victim of it. This is a man that has granite in his chin. Bruno Soros, who's not known as a puncher, was able to knock him out flat. I love the fact that he's coming back at this fight. I love the fact that he just wants to get back. He wants to get that revenge. You know, after going 12 rounds with Canelo and getting knocked out by Bruno Soros, I mean, the pride, the Mexican machismo has to be dinged. It has to be hurt a little bit so he can bet that he wants this win back.
What happened in that fight? Did we just see Jaime Munguia take one too many chances leading with his chin? Because he is one of the most fun fighters that we have in all of boxing, but he is all offense and no defense. There you see there, Bruno Soros just lined up that straight right hand, hit him clean. Bruno Soros came into that fight with 4 knockouts on his resume, so it's not like he's a huge puncher.
Listen, any man that hits you with that whirling type shot, you know, the overhand punch like that, you're bound to knock out anything that lands cleanly. It landed right on the tip of the chin. You could see the legs went right away. Anytime a fighter falls flat like that without breaking their fall, they were out before they even hit the canvas. Munguia was hurt, so we can know that Bruno can punch if he lands you cleanly, and we know that Munguia can go down and stay down if he gets knocked.
Do you like this idea of an immediate rematch between Munguia and Soros?
Love it. I love it because you want, I mean, it was one punch. It wasn't a 12-round beating. So it was one punch, get right back in there, get back what you lost. And look, if he can get a big win and knock out Bruno, his confidence is back.
His confidence will be back, and he'll put himself right back in that world title picture, talking about Edgar Berlanga and others. And there he is, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, ready for this press conference to begin. He is starting a new partnership with Canelo Alvarez, 4 fights as part of Riyadh season, Sergio. I know everybody is talking about a fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford later this year, but we had kind of a new wrinkle to all this when Dimitri Bivol knocked off Artur Beterbiev. Dimitri Bivol is now the undisputed light heavyweight champion, and we know that Canelo has for a while now talked about getting his own revenge against Dimitri Bivol for that loss a few years ago. What do you think about those two potentially matching up?
I'm well familiar with the Mexican machismo. You can bet Canelo Alvarez is going to want that win back. He's going to want that fight back. But look, Dimitri Bivol's still on top of his game. That jab's still there. The footwork is still there. The confidence is there. And that's exactly what gives Canelo issues. It's the footwork, it's the ring generalship, and it's that jab right there. The accuracy was there. The footwork's there. The bounce. And now the confidence there beating Artur Beterbiev. So look, if I were Canelo, I would say tread lightly, my friend. Tread lightly, amigo, because this man is still the goods. But knowing the pride of Canelo, he's going to want that get back.
Yeah, and that was very close to peak Canelo. That was him coming off his run to win all the belts at 168. You can argue that Dimitri Bivol right now is peaking. He might be even better since that fight against Canelo.
I agree, and more confident as well. When you're knocking out guys like Canelo, beating Zurdo Ramirez, and then going and beating a beast in Beterbiev, I mean, the confidence is through the roof, and you know you're pound-for-pound goods. They can do it as many times as they want. It's going to be the same tricky style for whoever fights Dimitri Bivol.
You know, Dimitri Bivol wants that fight for all of Canelo's belts at 168. He wants to drop down and fight for Undisputed in his second weight class. What would you advise Canelo on that?
Hey, listen, Canelo says, no, not so fast. I don't want anybody to discredit me. He wants that fight at 175. They don't want to say, I don't want to weight drain Dimitri Bivol, have him come down to 168. No excuses for the Mexican superstar. He wants to get back, and he wants it in the same division at light heavyweight.
All right, so we talked about the big fights for Canelo Alvarez this year. Terence Crawford maybe later in the year, Dimitri Bivol early next year, but he has to get past William Scull first. This is the kind of trap fight, Sergio, that in the past we have seen fighters maybe overlook their opponent, look past him, and tend to struggle. Do you think there's any danger in Canelo looking past someone like William Scull?
No, he's not looking past him, but look, like we saw with Jaime Munguia and Bruno Soros, anything can happen, even when you have that Grand Night famous Mexican chin. I'm not saying William Skull's going to strike lightning in a bottle, but he is a tricky fighter. He is undefeated. He comes from that Cuban school of boxing, over 300 amateur fights, a strong, tall, rangy fighter. So look, with that confidence and a good camp, He can be a handful. I'll give you that. He can be a handful.
All right, so what would a handful even look like? Would he have to go for a knockout against Canelo Alvarez to win a fight like that? Because I can't see, given the output of William Scull in his last fight, him winning a decision against Canelo, even this version of Canelo that is not as active as he once was.
Listen, he can take a page from the last 6 opponents of Canelo that have went the distance. Maybe a little bit of Berlanga, a little bit of a Caleb Plant, a little bit of a Munguia. All 3 of those guys have success. I mean, this is a man that's 35 years old. He's still one of the top fighters in the world, but 35 is 35. When you have over 65 fights, you've been fighting professionally since you were 16 years old. Come on, man. You're bound to lose one little step, but the man can still fight.
He can still fight. And look, he is still looking for those big mega fights, some big mega paydays that are ahead of him. Terrence Crawford, Dimitri Bivol, who knows who could be waiting for him at the end of 2026. One thing I wanted to ask about, Sergio, is it is a very busy camp up at Team Canelo. You've got Canelo, who's been up there in San Diego for some time now. Ryan Garcia is back. Teofimo Lopez is up there. And Jaime Munguia is now part of Team Canelo. Jaime Munguia has been bouncing between Eric Morales. He was working with Freddie Roach. What do you think of Munguia teaming up with Team Reynoso?
Listen, I've trained in Mexican gyms. They work extremely hard, but you can bet that when you're working alongside greatness like Canelo Alvarez, Eddie Reynoso doesn't take none of that stuff. They don't accept superstars. Leave your popularity at the door. It's all hard work in here. So that's the thing. And iron sharpens iron. When you're seeing Canelo and Ryan Garcia and everyone else that's in the camp, you step your game up. That's the thing about them. They love head movement. They love the new school Mexican style boxing where you're moving your head and making your offense your defense. That's what Reynoso specializes on.
Can you change Jaime Munguia at this stage?
No, you cannot change those Mexican stripes, but you can add a little bit of texture to that head movement and maybe get him across the finish line at this stage of his career.
All right, we are just about ready to get this thing started. Canelo versus Scull right here, Radio City Music Hall. Let's throw it up to the Hall of Famer, Mr. Michael Buffer.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to a venue considered to be one of the great theaters in the world today. Radio City Music Hall, New York City, New York, USA. And tonight, a very special announcement and press conference because 2 world champions will be facing each other for an undisputed title. And it all goes down on Saturday, the 3rd of May, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in Riyadh at the A&B Arena. 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. And it's sanctioned by, well, it's sanctioned by all the belts, baby. The World Boxing Association, the World Boxing Council, the World Boxing Organization, and the International Boxing Federation, along with recognition for the championship by the Bible of Boxing, Ring Magazine. And it's all brought to us by Riyadh Season, along with SNK's Fatal Fury City of Wolves fighting game, along with the General Entertainment Authority, GEA, with Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren's Queensbury Promotions, Canelo Promotions, Agon Sports, and Sella, and sponsored by Visit Saudi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, special thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the custodian of the 2 holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh. That's right. And seated behind me, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very distinguished panel representing the 2 world champions. First, for Championship Team Scull, representing Agon Sports, Ingo Valkman, and head trainer Frankie Sadama. For Championship Team Canelo, trainer Eddie Reynoso, and advisor, I'm glad to see Eddie's family in attendance, and advisor Richard Schaefer. So ladies and gentlemen, at this time, let's meet the 2 world champions. First, with a perfect professional record consisting of 23 fights, 23 victories, including 9 wins by knockout. He's originally from Matanzas, Cuba, but now living, training, and fighting out of Berlin, Germany. He is the reigning and defending undefeated IBF Super Middleweight Champion of the World, William El Indomable Scull. Bigger in person than I thought. And his opponent on that fight night of 3rd of May out of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, recognized for the last decade universally as among pound for pound the best fighters in the world today. His professional record stands at 62 victories, 39 wins by knockout, 2 defeats, 2 draws. Damas y caballeros de Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, the former super welterweight world champion, former middleweight world champion, former light heavyweight world champion. He is the reigning and defending WBA, WBC, WBO super middleweight champion of the world, Saul Canelo. How do you top that? Well, we'll have to turn it over to our host, ladies and gentlemen, broadcaster and analyst for DAZN Boxing, Mr. Todd Grisham.
Thank you, Michael. What a thrill. The young version of me would be freaking out right now. I just got introduced by Michael Buffer at Radio City Music Hall. Hell, the old version of me is freaking out right now. But I got to keep it together. This is a big moment and a big event. And judging by the reaction, I believe that we have a lot of people of Mexican descent here tonight. Is that correct? So there's 3 things I know about you. You love boxing. You love Canelo. And many of you won't remember this tomorrow because you're drinking too much tequila.
BMC. Viva Mexico, cabrones!
Well, this is certainly a new chapter for Canelo. For the first time in his 66-fight pro career, Canelo takes his show on the road and will be fighting outside of North America. I'm going to ask the members of the dais some questions, of course, some questions for Canelo and William Scull, and then we'll actually open up to the media to ask a few questions, and then afterwards we'll have the stare down for the 2 men that will battle for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world in May in Saudi Arabia. First up, let's start with Canelo's advisor, Richard Schaefer. We haven't seen you on a dais in quite a while. Glad to have you here. What are your thoughts on this event and this fight?
Well, it's a historic event, a historic showdown, live from Riyadh, and very importantly, in prime time here in the United States on Saturday night on the Cinco de Mayo weekend, May 3rd, something which was very important for Canelo, that so all you fans out there can keep on celebrating this important holiday and watch Canelo become a 2-time undisputed world champion. What is important as well, the styles make fights. There's only 2 countries in the world which actually have boxing styles named after them. One of them, of course, is the Mexican style, which we all love, exciting, coming forward and so on. And then there's the Cuban style, which is more defensive, very technical. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see an amazing showdown on Saturday night. It will be history made. Don't underestimate Scull. He's an undefeated fighter, amazing amateur track record, and he's here to win. But Canelo, as always, has other plans, and he will be a two-time undisputed super middleweight world champion. Thank you.
And now let's hear from William Scull's promoter. It's your job to come up with a game plan and a strategy. Oh, this is trainer Franco Saldama, a strategy to beat Canelo Alvarez. How do you do it? How does this happen?
First, thank you to be here. It's a pleasure. And I think the match plan makes a coach, not me. But we're working hard on it, and we're going to make a big fight. I hope so. And Miko, yeah. Yeah, but the match plan is from the trainer, only. I don't do it.
Well, we'll turn over to Franco. What are your thoughts on how William can win this fight? What does he have to do? In Espanol, who's our translator?
¿Cómo lo ves? ¿Cómo puede ganar? ¿Cómo puede ganar el combate? Frankie.
Sí.
Bueno, nada, todos sabemos de que es un buen peleador. Para mí es uno de los peleadores más grandes que hay. Y nada, la estrategia es darle un buen espectáculo, y el 3 de mayo van a ver la William Scull.
No tenemos miedo, vamos a hacer un buen combate, señores. Canelo is a very big fighter, a very, very good fighter. I saw him last time in Las Vegas, really, really good fighter. But William Scull is as well world champion. And we will see on the 3rd of May what's happening.
Well, let's turn our attention to the multi-time trainer of the year, Eddie Reynoso, who is here today. Eddie, at this stage of Canelo's career, what kind of things can he still improve on in the gym and get better at? And what kind of fight do you expect this to be in May?
Pues antes que nada vamos a pelear con un peleador cubano. La escuela cubana es de las mejores del mundo. Vamos a pelear contra un campeón del mundo. Vamos nosotros a trabajar como siempre, con mucha disciplina, con mucha entrega. Canelo es un peleador que siempre está en el gimnasio, y a todos los rivales los tomamos muy en cuenta, y no va a ser la excepción. Vamos a hacer un gran campamento, respetamos mucho el equipo de Scull, y nosotros vamos a volver a ser Undisputed por segunda vez.
We're going to be fighting against a great Cuban fighter, a great champion. And, you know, we know what we have in store. We're going to have a great training camp, and we're going to be undisputed once again.
How about we hear from the fighters now? You guys ready? And how about we start, ladies and gentlemen, with the fighter that many of you are here to see today. Fighting for the very first time in his illustrious career in Saudi Arabia, a Spanish-speaking national hero who always represents his country with pride and respect. Damas y caballeros, make some noise for the super middleweight champion of the world, William Scull, everybody. You always introduce the challenger first. William, how do you feel about facing the face of boxing in Canelo Alvarez?
¿Cómo te sentís, William, estando contra la cara del boxeo?
Buenas noches a la afición. La verdad que estoy muy agradecido con el equipo Canelo por la posibilidad, ¿no?, de hacerle esto realidad y de demostrarle al mundo que sí se puede.
¿Podría repetir, por favor? Había un poquito de ruido acá. ¿Podría repetir la respuesta, por favor? Sí, si podría repetir la respuesta, que había mucho ruido. Perdón.
Súbanle en los micrófonos o hablen más fuerte, no mamen.
Sí. Go ahead.
What did Canelo say?
Well, no, it's just that, he was saying that, like the fans here are loud, like that's just how they are. So, yeah, it's just how it is.
Well, William, how does it make you feel when people refer to this fight as a tune-up fight or a stay busy fight for Canelo? How do you feel about that?
¿Cómo te hace sentir que la gente diga que vos sos simplemente un paso más para Canelo, un precalentamiento para lo que viene en verdad para él?
No, sinceramente, el que conoce bien de boxeo sabe que en el boxeo no es nada fácil, ¿no? Si yo estoy aquí es porque me lo he ganado callando boca, siempre dando pasos firmes y seguros. Y como siempre he dicho, ¿no? El día 3 de mayo y el 12 de round, de que saca el último round, es cuando se va a decidir quién es el verdadero ganador de esa noche.
Well, look, that's just how boxing is sometimes. I'm firm, I'm securing what I want to do, and come May 3rd, I know that I'm going to display the best of my talents, and I'm going to be the best I can be in order to pull off the upset. I'm going to shut everybody up. You'll see.
Okay, now how about we hear from the man who really needs no introduction, the man to my right. A 4-weight world champion, a future Hall of Famer, and the face of boxing. He's the unified and perhaps soon to be undisputed super middleweight champion of the world again, Canelo Alvarez, everybody. Canelo, what do you make of the turnout here with all your Mexican fans?
No, I just feel grateful about have you here, guys. Always support me, and let's make history. Let's make history. Thank you, everybody. Gracias a todos. De verdad aprecio mucho su apoyo, cabrones. Muchas gracias. Y vamos a hacer historia. Que viva México, culeros.
I know Cinco de Mayo weekend is very important to you. You'll be in Saudi Arabia fighting for the first time. How do you feel about that?
No, I feel great, that motivates myself, Spain, fighting in another country. I feel great. I feel great about it. Motivate. And this fight is very important to me. I never take nothing easy. I always train him 100% because I know he have a lot of skills, but he's no other Canelo out there. So I'm gonna prepare myself and put it a good show in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh, and for my uncle Turkey, Alashi. Thank you, and it's gonna be excited. I'm very motivated for this fight.
Well, Canelo, I'm sure you heard the big news yesterday. Turki Al-Sheikh is creating a new boxing league. He promises that there will only be one world champion in each division. Right now, he's also considered a world champion. As someone who has the WBO, WBC, and WBA titles, how do you feel about that?
No, I feel good because at the moment I have the 4 belts. It's like if there is just one belt, it's mine too. So I can adapt myself in any way. So I don't mind.
Well, you've knocked down your opponents in your last 4 fights, but you haven't gotten a knockout since 2021. How likely is it that William Scull is able to go the full 12 rounds with you?
It's going to be difficult because his style, the Cuban style is a little bit complicated, but like always, I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to be in the ring and like boxing is, hurt your opponent as much as you can, and I'm going to do that May 3rd.
William, this is by far the biggest fight of your career. You already see how many people here are cheering for Canelo. It'll be an amazing moment. How nervous are you to step in the ring against someone of the caliber of Canelo?
William, esta es claramente la pelea más importante de tu carrera hasta ahora. ¿Qué tan nervioso estás de estar en este escenario de cara a este gran evento? Que esta es la pelea más importante de tu carrera hasta ahora. ¿Qué tan nervioso estás de cara a este gran evento? No me escucho. Hello. 1, 2, 3, testing. Okay, William, esta es la pelea más grande de tu carrera hasta ahora. ¿Qué tan nervioso estás de cara a este gran evento?
No, la verdad que soy un boxeador que viene bien preparado, ¿no? Tengo una buena escuela, que es una gran base que tengo, y me siento muy bien para enfrentar este reto, ¿no? Como siempre he dicho, ¿no? El sacrificio es la felicidad de mañana, y me he sacrificado muy duro para lograr lo que tengo, y se está tomando esto con una forma muy linda, viviendo una un lindo momento y una gran experiencia, y siempre exhortar lo que esperen el 3 de mayo, que van a disfrutar de un gran boxeo.
I feel really good right now, actually. I rely on my fundamentals, and I have prepared really well in a very dignified way for this fight. And all I want is to be ready for May 3rd and give the fans a great fight, which is what they deserve.
Well, Canelo, everyone knows a potential showdown with Terrence Crawford awaits in September. He decided not to have a fight until then, but you said you were going to fight in May. Why take the risk?
No, I like to be active. I like to be active, and I don't take, we don't have a fight till September. We have this fight, and then we will see the September fight. But I'm focused 100% on William Scull.
And William, what's your message to your fans in Germany, your fans in Cuba that believe in you and think that you can indeed beat Canelo and become undisputed?
¿Cuál es tu mensaje para la gente y qué tenés para decirle a aquellos que no creen en vos y que quizás vos también sí podés ser el que sea indiscutido y el que derrota a Canelo en mayo?
El mensaje para la gente, ¿no? Que siempre se puede, ¿no? Para las personas que siempre han subestimado, que es feo subestimar a los oponentes, además en este momento que es el boxeo, que es un deporte tan difícil, y yo soy un guerrero que siempre he venido de abajo, y estoy seguro que vamos a dar un buen batagazo, y estoy orgulloso de poder representar a todos mis cubanos que siempre están atentos y a disfrutar del 3 de mayo, que va a ser una gran noche.
My message to everybody is that everything is possible, and I'm really proud to represent all of Cuba in this fight. I'm going to be ready, and I'm going to give the best I can. That's all I can promise, and it's going to be a great fight. I promise you that too.
And Canelo, what can your fans expect to see from you in this fight?
Like always, I'm going to put my best, my experience, my talent, everything I have there. So, like boxing is, I'm going to try to hurt my opponent as much as I can.
All right. I believe we're going to open the questions for some media members to ask a question to Canelo and to William Scull. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is for Saul. It's Omar from Box Nation. Listen, obviously your ambition is to become undisputed at super middle. Is there a possibility in your 4-fight deal that we see you go back up to light heavyweight and maybe take on Dimitri Bivol, whoever has the belt next year?
Everything can happen. Everything is a possibility there. So I like challenge, and we'll see.
Thank you.
How you doing? DJ Juanito, Hot 97. This question for the both of you. Neither of you will have home field advantage in this fight in Saudi Arabia. How much of that goes into your preparation for this fight?
Bueno, que ninguno de los dos va a tener la ventaja de ser locales en esta pelea. ¿Cómo creen que afectará a la pelea en sí? What's the question for both of them or for someone in particular? Both? Okay. Go ahead. Who do you want to answer first? ¿Canelo? Canelo, entonces la localía, el no tener, el que sea en un terreno neutral, ¿cómo afecta a la pelea?
No, obviamente es algo nuevo para mí, pero todo el mundo es territorio Canelo, así que donde sea que pelee para mí, no importa cuál sea el lugar, estoy listo para lo que sea. Como decimos en México, el que es perico donde quieras verde.
Well, you know what? It's going to be a new experience for me, that's for sure. But I'm also sure that the whole world is Canelo territory. So, like I said in Mexico, just wait for me. You'll see me. William, entonces lo mismo para vos, de que cómo te va a afectar que sea en territorio neutral y que ninguno de los dos tenga la ventaja quizás de contar con el apoyo de su gente. El territorio neutral, y cómo te afecta el saber que no va a haber ni localidad ni visitante, que va a ser en un territorio en el que los dos están en igualdad de condiciones.
No, la verdad que no, he cruzado 4 países, ¿no? Y siempre he ido de nuevo local. La verdad que creo que soy un boxeador que está listo para guerrear donde quiera que sea y siempre sacar la victoria de la forma que sea. La verdad que creo que va a ser un lindo ambiente y una nueva experiencia para esa noche, para mí y creo que para el equipo Canelo también.
Look, I've fought in 4 different countries already. This is nothing new for me, and I think it's going to be a really nice experience, something that I'm going to enjoy, and in the end, it's going to be great for all of us. Next question.
Canelo.
Hello.
Mike Coppinger.
All right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Canelo, look, you're the face of boxing, not just in the U.S. but across the world. What makes you so excited about fighting outside of North America for the first time with this fight in Riyadh?
No, I'm very excited to fight outside of my country, of America too. So I feel very excited about it. So always in my career, I always want to fight in other places, and this is the moment, and I feel very excited.
And now, how about a question from the man who made this all possible, His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, everyone. You know, I respect the school of boxing from Cuba, but now I am asking as a fan. My question is for Canelo. There is one item missed from you. In the 3rd of May, are you get it back to be complete in the 12th of September in Vegas in the big fight? Are you complete the items and take it back in the 3rd of May?
Bueno, Canelo, entonces sabemos que tenés un año con muchos desafíos. ¿Me escuchás? Hola, hola. Probando, ¿me escuchan? Sí.
Hey, man, I'm gonna look great.
There is one item missed from you now. That belt.
The belt. But I got you.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I got you.
All right, and with that, we will now have the fighters face off. Do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can watch all the fireworks live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, part of Riyadh season, live on DAZN, May the 3rd. All right, here we go. Canelo and William Scull, ladies and gentlemen.
Gracias, muchas gracias. Scull, you bring your bitch, huh?
Here they are, ladies and gentlemen. It all goes down in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Saturday night, May 3rd. Champion versus champion for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world.
Well, there you have it, Sergio. The press conference is complete. Canelo Alvarez, thousands of fans here inside Radio City Music Hall here for the champion, Canelo Alvarez. And I was asking you during this press conference to keep an eye on the body language of William Scull, because he has never fought on a stage like this before. What did you think of what you saw from the challenger to the undisputed crown?
You can see that he wasn't accustomed to this big stage. And even Canelo chirped at him saying, hey, put your mouth against the mic and speak like a man. I love this side of Canelo. He was edgy. He was more talkative. He spoke with passion. And, of course, the fans here loved it. Man, I like this new version of Canelo, of what we're seeing here. And, of course, with William Scull, you can tell that he's a fish out of water. You know, he's not accustomed to the big stage.
You know, I thought Richard Schaefer said something interesting there at the very beginning. He noted that this fight was going to take place in primetime in the U.S., which means it'll happen at some point in the morning over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's a new wrinkle to all this as well.
Yeah, it is. They're trying to make it more, I guess, convenient for everybody to watch and everybody to tune in. And that was a good thing brought up by Richard Schaefer, because that makes a lot of sense. So, look, I know there's a lot of moving pieces here. You know, whenever you have boxing so international and around the world, you want to please everybody. But if you can find a perfect spot and a perfect time slot where most people go watch, it's a beautiful thing for boxing.
You know, Canelo Alvarez is obviously ticketed for a big fight September 12th. We believe that to be against Terence Crawford. Turki Al-Sheikh himself alluded to it there during this press conference. And Canelo really shut down most of the questions about Terence Crawford. He seems pretty locked in right now on William Scull.
Don't worry, I got you, is what Canelo told Turki Al-Sheikh. I love that, man. He looked at William Scull and he says, hey, man, that belt's coming home. Look, he has an undefeated fighter in front of him. He's a world champion. You got to respect the fact that he's a world champion. Canelo knows what he has in front of him, but he also knows that he has a tall task to please in his excellency.
You know, Todd Grisham referenced the fact that Canelo has not scored a knockout since 2021. He's had a lot of good fights, a lot of clear decisions, but has not had a knockout there. And he was asking Canelo about scoring a knockout against William Scull. And Canelo said, look, that Cuban style can be tricky. What does he mean by that?
Well, the last Cuban that he faced was Erislan Lara, and we know how tricky that was. Look, the Cuban school of boxing is totally different than Mexican style. It's actually a lot difficult. You know, most of them are southpaws. Most of them are groomed to box. You know, a lot of them are strong. They have speed. They're really big for their size as well. Wide shoulders, long arms. You can see how big William Scull is. So with that reach, that footwork, and that pedigree, they could be headaches for anybody.
What do you think that William Scull's game plan is going to be in this fight?
Cuban school of boxing, sticking and moving, boxing. He's a little bit unorthodox. He drops his arms, he punches from weird angles, but he's going to have the size, he's going to have the range, he's going to have the experience, and if he brings the confidence, he can be tricky.
You know, we're always kind of waiting for that next level of slippage in Canelo Alvarez. He's not the destroyer that we saw between 2018 and 2022 when he was beating Gennady Golovkin, when he was stopping or winning all 4 of the belts at super middleweight. Where do you think he is right now as a fighter?
Well, look, he hasn't had a stoppage in 4 years. I mean, his last 6 fights has all gone the distance. So it's not that he's losing a step. He's fighting bigger fighters, man. This is a man that started his career at 140 pounds. He's fighting all the way to 175. He's facing undefeated fighters. He's facing guys that don't know how to lose. Younger fighters, bigger fighters, heavier fighters. So give this man a break. He's fighting. He's going to be 35 years old in a couple of months. He's still the goods, and he's still at top of his game.
All right, we're going to bring in our own P.T. Barnum, Todd Grisham, who just finished hosting the press conference up there. Todd, what did you think of the energy up there on that stage?
Well, it was a little mixed because of the Spanish-English translation, but I know they got noisy when I mentioned tequila. I know that. And Canelo. But to further your point, Sergio, I believe Canelo said after the Edgar Berlanga fight, after he knocked him down, he said, I listen to whatever Eddie Reynoso tells me. And he told me to be safe, be patient, and don't go for the kill. So Canelo almost, when he said that, seemed like he wanted to go for the kill, but he's doing what his trainer told him. So if Eddie doesn't tell him to do it, he's not going to do it.
And Eddie knows. I mean, Eddie knows his fighter better than anybody. So he knows, look, don't put yourself in risk if you don't have to. You can get the knockout, but look, we're thinking about longevity. We're thinking about the big
But what about Scull? He's got to knock this guy out, doesn't he?
Why? Scull can be tricky, just like I told Chris over here. He can be a tricky fighter. If he gives you that opportunity, great. But this is the Cuban style, the difficult style to pin down. He's a strong fighter. You've seen how big he is. So look, don't take him for granted. This kid's going to come to fight. Canelo, if he has a chance, take him out. But I would say
You're smiling. Go ahead.
Tread lightly.
Sergio thinks everyone that fights a tricky style is, impossible to beat. What did you think of the energy those Scull had up there? Because I was wondering coming in, he'd never been on a stage like this before. Yeah. He won his world championship in basically his backyard of Germany against Vladimir Zhizkin. He fought recently in the U.S., but when he fought on that Canelo Munguia undercard, there was literally nobody in the building for that fight in Las Vegas. I was one of 5 people that was watching it. What did you think of the energy Scull was giving off?
Well, I have a feeling if this fight was in Las Vegas or New York or Mexico, obviously, I don't know that it'd be a much different experience. We've been to Riyadh several times. It's a completely different experience, almost like fighting in Japan, where the crowd not nearly as loud, much more polite. Up there, he didn't seem too nervous. Again, with the translation, a little bit was lost, but he seemed like he belonged. And, he's already hit the jackpot. Just getting this fight. and getting that money in Saudi Arabia, his life is going to change forever. So if I'm him, I just go for broke, just have a good time if you can, and do the best and let the chips fall where they may.
Sergio, we're all talking eventually about a Terrence Crawford fight, but Canelo was asked earlier about Dimitri Bivol and whether or not he's willing to move up to 175 again for that fight. He left that door wide open for that opportunity.
Look, I said tread lightly earlier. I'm going to say it again. Dimitri Bivol is at the top of his game. He's all wrong for a fighter like Canelo. He's going to be bigger. He has that jab. He has that footwork. He already beat him once. And Bivol just beat the monster at light heavyweight in Beterbiev. So the momentum was with Dimitri Bivol, but Canelo and that Mexican machismo, he doesn't want that loss on the record. He wants to get it back. That's the thing about the Mexican pride.
I know a lot of people think maybe we could get Benavidez and Bivol at some point, but Chris, is the Benavidez still that one fight that you think all boxing fans really want to see? He wants Bivol, but the fans say we'd rather have Benavidez. Why do you think he's obsessed with getting that back rather than beating the Mexican monster?
I mean, I think when you have a loss, you always want to avenge it. I think if Floyd Mayweather was still active, he'd want to fight Floyd Mayweather again. He had a draw against Gennady Golovkin. He made sure he won a clear decision twice against Golovkin. So I think it's more about that than it is any type of opponent. I'd certainly argue that Dimitri Bivol is you can argue he's a tougher fight than David Benavidez. Right now, Dimitri Bivol is at his very best. He just won a decision against the biggest puncher, or one of the biggest punchers in all of boxing, Artur Beterbiev. David Benavidez is great, don't get me wrong, but it's not like by passing on a Benavidez fight that he's looking for something easier against Dimitri Bivol.
It's a different type of tough test. I think Dimitri Bivol is more of a headache as a boxer, but as far as a physical fight, it's definitely the Mexican monster.
By the way, I think I saw some of the Rockettes backstage. I know you want to go get some autographs.
I have no idea who the Rockettes are.
Yes, he does. Of course he does. All right. We have got a lot of boxing up ahead here on DAZN. Manuel Flores will return to headline Golden Boy Fight Night on DAZN in a 10-round super bantamweight matchup against Jorge Leava. And Friday, Sergio Pettis, the younger brother of former UFC lightweight champion Anthony Pettis, takes on Sabari Jashinikar in the India Professional Boxing League. And Most Valuable Promotions will take its talents north of the border to Toronto, Canada, as the undefeated Lucas Body face the Philippines' Ryan James Racaza live as part of your DAZN subscription with over 185 fights per year. Make sure you head over to the DAZN platform where you can see our stacked upcoming schedule, where we list all the exciting fights we'll be streaming live on DAZN. Plus, you can check out the brand new Ariel and Ade podcast.
Hey everyone, I'm Ariel.
And I'm Ade.
Introducing the Ariel and Ade Boxing Show. All the headlines and hard-hitting debate from the world of boxing.
And we've got special guests every single week.
So if you love boxing, you'll love this program.
Every Tuesday, live on DAZN.
Well, the big fights, they keep coming here on DAZN. Boots Ennis, title unification fight against Amantes Stanionis, April 12th in Atlantic City as the two undefeated welterweights square off in the two-belt showdown. And finally, after one of the most wild press confrontations of the year, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, they finally get it on in a highly anticipated fight. That will be April 26th at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Well, guys, those fights will be happening coming up, but Canelo against William Scull. And Todd, I was asking Sergio about something that Richard Schaefer said. That's a morning fight over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's something new, I think, for both guys.
Well, hey, we've been there enough times where he better get there at least 2 weeks in advance, because your clock in your brain is way off, whether it's morning, where it's night. I mean, these cards wrap up at 3 a.m., so you've got to get accustomed to when you're fighting, get your sleep schedule right, and be dialed in on Saudi time.
All right, Sergio, we asked you about what William Scull needs to do to win a fight like this. Does Canelo just have to be Canelo? Does he have to do anything special to get by William Scull?
Circadian rhythm is what you're looking for. That's what's off, internal clock. But to answer your question, he's going to have to fire on all cylinders, because Scull, like I said, he's a long fighter. He's an undefeated fighter. Canelo's going to have to move his head. That's what his trainer Reynoso is an expert at, getting on the inside, banging away the body, banging away at the arms, slowly breaking down these tall, bigger, stronger fighters. So you could expect the new school Mexican style of fighting with the upper body movement, but the old school Mexican style with the punches to the liver.
Yeah, we didn't even have time to get into the co-main event. Jaime Munguia against Bruno Saras, a huge rematch for Jaime Munguia, trying to get his get back and to become a player once again in the 168-pound division. All right, make sure you stick around. The Ariel and Ade podcast, 7 o'clock Eastern time, right here on DAZN. Let's get off the stage, fellas, and kick it back to the mariachi band here at Radio City Music Hall.
Chale todo
noche. Me llaman la mezcalera porque canto la noche entera, embrujando los callejeros hasta el amanecer. Yo vivo bailando con los espíritus amados. Juro por vida cada vez que mi amor está en el fondo. Besos de mezcal, se me sube la mezcalina. Besos de mezcal, enciende mi adrenalina. Besos de mezcal, se me sube la mezcalina. Besos de mezcal, enciende mi adrenalina. Mira, hay un solo tipo de beso que desata mis secretos. Si tú te atreves a acercar, te delato ese misterio. Con un solo beso vas a llegar hasta el fin del universo y nunca, nunca te olvidarás del cariño que te tengo. Besos de mezcal, se me sube la mezcalina. Besos de mezcal, enciende mi adrenalina. Besos de mezcal, se me sube la mezcalina. Besos de mezcal, enciende mi adrenalina.
Hello, people. Me again. Fight Week on DAZN is non-stop action. Access all areas of the biggest fights. That and so much more, even before the bell rings.